because I gotta introduce it.
Okay.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 2 of The Black Truth, the show where we tell uncomfortable truths that are black. They're not white. They're black. On the moral scale, black or white.
All right.
I'm with Nick.
Let me go from here.
What's the topic? The topic is stuck culture.
Nosferatu will be the review of today, but not only are you guys getting a review, you guys are also getting a.
We're talking about stuck culture. The stuck culture that we're talking, the Black Truth is that we live in a stuck culture. Now, if you guys don't know what stuck culture is, it was coined by this Twitter user called Lindy Man. If you've been looking into the Luigi Mangione thing, you might know who he is. But basically, stuck culture is the idea, or like the theory, that we currently live in a world that keeps on like regurgitating things of the past, and we keep on. We're not really going forward. So the only thing we can kind of do is go left or right or full circle. And I think you were talking to me earlier about how you feel like a lot of things aren't, what they should be, or...
So recently, the past year of 2024, or at least what we perceive to be 2024.
I like saying that too. I like saying like 2024.
Allegedly, according to the Talmud.
Yeah.
Right? So...
according to like the Mayan calendar or whatever?
So, no, well, according to the Gregorian calendar, right?
Calendar, yeah.
So, this past year, I spent it rewatching a lot of old shit, right? So, stuff, if you were a 2000s kid, right? A 2000s kid is from 95 to 05, right? So, I was rewatching Avatar, The Last Airbender, right? The only real Avatar. Star Wars, the first 6, the only true Star Wars movie.
George Lucas's Star Wars.
George Lucas's Star Wars, right? What else was I doing? I was rewatching Filthy Frank videos, H3H3.
I like how you go from like Star Wars like Filthy Frank.
Well, no, it's all related. It's all related because if you're a 2000s kid, you most likely grew up watching Filthy Frank. If you're a 2000s kid, you know about the Harlem Shake. The Harlem Shake, who did that go back to?
That one, Filthy Frank created it.
There you go. H3H3, the fucking creator of Teddy Fresh, which all these fucking weird ass kids like wearing.
You've seen people wearing Teddy Fresh?
I have seen people that don't know who H3H3 is, and they wear Teddy Fresh.
That's crazy. I know.
Yes. So, H3H3, iDubbbz, Filthy Frank. I was rewatching Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Some random Marvel movies here and there, like Hulk, the best Hulk movie with Edward Norton. Just throwing it out there. Some of the movies from Phase 1 of Marvel. All this different shit from when we were kids, right? And I've been playing a lot of Black Ops 6 too, right? Just to throw it out there. Now, if you've been playing Black Ops 6, you know that Black Ops 6 has a lot of callbacks to the older Black Ops games, right? Like Black Ops 1 and 2, right? So, I was doing all this shit, right? And it made me realize, damn, everything we thought was gonna come out and be great wasn't fucking great. Star Wars fucking sucked. Dragon Ball, you might disagree.
Wait, you're talking about like current. You're talking about current.
Yeah. The current stuff that's coming out now.
Because you just said like, oh yeah, it sounded like what you were saying is that all of it actually sucked. Like even
No. All the shit that came out during the early 2000s and the early 2010s was goated.
Yeah.
Right? But everything that came after, which was supposed to continue the shit that came from before, fucking sucks, right? And it almost makes me feel like, maybe not melancholic, but almost kind of depressed in a way. Because when you think about it, the fiction world is a reflection of our real world, right?
Yeah.
So when you read a book, when you read a comic book, a manga, you watch a show, you watch a movie, play a fucking video game, it's supposed to reflect everything that's going on in the real world. And it almost feels like these writers aren't experiencing anything in the real world, so they're just writing bullshit. like the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, like Dragon Ball Super, like Indiana Jones. Was it 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, Indiana Jones 5. Everything that's been coming out is just, they're just force feeding us all this shit from before, and it's not even good shit. It's horrible. It's fucking horrible. If you watch Indiana Jones 5, you're just watching a washed up old man living in a world of fucking misery. And that's how we feel today. Even at fucking 23 years old, I feel like that today.
Yeah, I felt like with that the Indiana Jones, it didn't even feel like a continuation. It felt like a soft like reboot. Like okay, so in like the original movies, it feels like we're in like this like the world that they're trying to capture. It still feels like fantasy, even though it was like it's based off of like the real history of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, it just feels like, oh, this is like this is what I heard someone say. Like, imagine if like Indiana Jones, although like the first 4 movies by Lucas and Spielberg, imagine if those movies were like stories told to what's her name, Helena Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically like exaggerated tales, and then the 5th one is like who he actually is, which is like some like old guy who like is in his way, like stuck in his ways, all that stuff, kind of lame, blah blah. But yeah, I think the problem you're facing right now, I'm gonna play kind of like devil's advocate on this, is that you're focusing too much on the properties that are like successors to like an old franchise.
Well, the thing is, I don't care if they're successors, because the prequel trilogy, despite being a prequel, was a successor to the original trilogy. Now, the nerds at that time hated on it too much because of Red Letter Media, right? Red Letter Media formed the opinion of all the fucking Star Wars movies, right? But I think most people like the fucking Star Wars movies, the sequel trilogy. Or not sequel, rather a prequel.
Yeah, I think there are some that like they didn't have the words to express it. And when those Red Letter Media videos came out, they kind of just like, oh.
They're like, oh yeah, never mind. Even though I enjoyed my time at the theater watching Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, I still hate those movies because of Red Letter Media. Fuck Red Letter Media, nigga.
I mean,
I had to let that out.
I
Sorry,
think,
that was an emotional outburst.
I think the problem with Red Letter Media is just that they haven't like admitted that the prequels are better than the sequels. I think that's their problem. Like I think I saw one of like the one for the Rise of Skywalker, and then at the end they were just like, oh no, but those movies are still way worse. Like at the end of it, and I was like, yeah, okay, now you guys have some other what's it called, like millennial problem with the prequels. You guys, it's literally like if you watch the first one, like the first sentence in the Phantom Menace review is like George Lucas raped me or something like that, like raped my childhood or something like that. Well, that's literally the first sentence. Anyway, getting back on the topic, like I do kind of understand, because the problem with me is like I'll watch something like back in the like when I was really getting into watching stuff like movies, TV, whatever. I used to think that like watching old stuff was like the equivalent of like eating your vegetables, you know, like you gotta watch that old movie because, you know, all these other movies kind of like continue that legacy, or like all these things you like right now, they kind of build upon that. And now
and
it's just like,
truth to that. There is truth to that.
but now the problem is that even like the new stuff,
it's just mass-produced garbage. Is all it is. It's basically like this, right? Imagine eating a burger handmade. They make the meat, they make the fucking bread. Maybe it's not the best. Maybe it's not the best burger you've ever eaten. But it's handmade and it's genuine, made from the heart. But everything we're getting now is mass-produced garbage, basically. It's like getting a fucking burger from Burger King.
I think the problem now is that we just have gatekeepers in like media and stuff. And now since like anyone can just like have a camera, anyone can go to film school, all that stuff, like it kind of opens the doors, but then at the same time, like they don't allow like, you know, certain people of you know, different political opinions, all that stuff. And like the only way to like really make anything out there is to make it your own. But then at the same time, you don't have the support of the machine, and you don't have that like, I think in the 70s, I forgot who said it. It was like some record executive. He basically said that when he would approve records, I forgot his name, but it's like an audio recording. He would literally say he would approve like the most crazy stuff because he knew he was out of touch. And so he knew like he knew that he wasn't a tastemaker. He was just a guy with the money that could approve all these things. So he would literally like pick, or he would have someone pick like the most weirdest things ever, and that's how he got success. Is because
he appreciated art.
No, it wasn't even that. It was literally that, like, because to him it was just like, it was like rolling a dice. Like, oh, maybe I might pick something. I might get money off of this. Like, that's literally how he thought about it. And it worked for him because he literally didn't care about the art they were producing. And that's how it should have always been. The people with the money shouldn't have been the people who dictate the art, I think. But now, since, like, I guess the people with the money now, their problem is
they just want to reproduce everything that came before, but instead of making it better, they just make it worse. Because all it is just force feeding you.
Like, let's say like the one big thing that I think, one of the big things that ruined Star Wars, I think it was J.J. Abrams. I know people don't like to think about it, or they don't think about it like that, but his like insistence on not referencing the prequels, at least like early era Force Awakens, when that stuff was coming out, he was like really he was either hesitant or like persistent on having this opinion that the prequels don't exist. I think he even said before that he watched the 4K 77, you know, the one I showed you?
Yeah.
He insisted on that, what basically means that he doesn't watch the special editions. Star Wars, but he was kind of just like anti George Lucas.
So basically, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So basically, he said, "Fuck George Lucas. We don't care about his creation. We're gonna try to make something that we think the people fucking like." And the people, guess what? At first, we liked Force Awakens, bro. Do you remember when Force Awakens came out?
Yeah.
We were in 8th grade, by the way. It was 2015. I'll never forget. December 17th, 2015. I remember the fucking date and everything. All it was, like, everybody at the time was like, "Oh, okay, this is a pretty decent film." And then Rogue One came out, and if you were cultured, you liked the movie. But then episode 8 came out, and everyone was like, "Oh, fuck this movie."
It was a heel turn for the Star Wars franchise.
Because first they were like, "Oh no, we want to keep everything we want to keep everything, how do you say, they wanted everything to reflect the old trilogy."
Yeah.
And then when fucking Ray William Johnson, what's his name? Rian Johnson. When he came out, he was like, "No, fuck that. I want to do something completely different." And nobody wanted to see it. And they thought that by showing us lasers and swords and all this shit, lightsabers, pardon my French, lightsabers, they thought that was just going to shut everybody up. But no, it wasn't. We were looking for George Lucas's creation. And that creation was the fucking old trilogy, the sequel or prequel trilogy, and we didn't get any of that shit. Just a bastardized version of the old trilogy.
Yeah, I guess that's what it became. But
and Marvel's doing the same shit too by bringing back all these old fucking superheroes from back in the day: Blade, Wolverine, Professor X, Tobey Maguire. What's that other guy's name from Amazing Spider-Man? Andrew Garfield. Because they know, hey, at least when those movies came out, they came out during a time when,
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is, I think the people with the money, they also think that they have a say in the art, and I think that's where it gets messed up. There's like too many. Because again, I'm not trying to say that like we need like total artistic freedom, because that's how you get. That's how you get. We do. No, I was gonna say, because that's how you get like communist movies and stuff, and we don't. However you think of it, we don't really want to see that in movies all the time. You don't need total artistic, especially if you're adapting other materials, I think, especially if it's like not your thing, because then you could just wait. Like with I guess we gotta get to this movie, Nosferatu. I guess I never saw the original movie.
I tried watching the original one, but I couldn't watch it.
Is it silent?
It's a silent film.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything Dracula or anything like that, so it's just kind of surprised.
I heard about the Twilight movies.
I guess I don't really have anything to say about it. Really, I just thought it was alright. Maybe if I look deeper into like the lore and everything, but my theory is just that like I feel like if to be like a horror enjoyer, you have to be like
a little retarded,
like genetically disposed to it or something like that. Like you have to lived around like horror stuff all your life, like all that stuff. And to me, it's just like there's like at the most, I think I like horror in like manga.
I don't like horror at all. I think horror is like the worst fucking genre of film.
How about like in different like in video games?
It doesn't scare me.
I like it when they take horror elements, but they start making them like silly. I guess like in Resident Evil.
Yeah, or like in the Spider-Man films, the Sam Raimi ones.
I guess
he adopted some of the Evil Dead into his movie. Yeah,
there's some good elements, but I just don't think like having to just be in horror is like I don't know, just kind of like wasting it's like wasting your talent. Like imagine being like guy just does horror. I don't know.
Yeah, horror movies aren't good to me. Nosferatu, I think was good if you understand like esotericism.
How so?
So like in the movie, they talk about these angels that are only referred to in the Zohar, right? The Zohar was a Kabbalistic text written in Spain. I think during the Victorian age. It was written by Moisés de León, and he basically wrote down this Kabbalistic tradition, which was supposed to have come from this rabbi named Benjamin or something like that. I don't know how true that is, but what I do know is that Nosferatu, we just came out of watching it right now. I think it did have a lot of like demonic and esoteric elements to it. That's why I liked it. But
would you recommend like a kid to go see it?
No.
Oh, okay.
The reason why is because
you want to follow the rating system, right? Like,
well, no, it's not that. It's just
okay.
you need to vibrate at a higher frequency, right?
You need to have some like nachos in you or something
at
the right time.
Yeah.
You need to sneak some.
If you're familiar with like esotericism, like Masonry or Rosicrucians or any other secret society, I think you'll like this movie. Because the movie...
What if you're just like a dumb bitch? You think you're gonna like this movie?
Yeah. Because she cheats on her fucking man with a demon. How is that not the 21st century woman?
I mean, it's just time's a flat circle. It's like poetry rhyme, just like how George Lucas said. Anyway, going back, that's my thoughts on the movie. That's the thoughts on movies. Because I kind of felt like we liked it, but we don't have much to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, I think
it's a movie.
It's not our wheelhouse. Maybe if they had like... Maybe if Willem Dafoe like put on like the Green Goblin suit, I might have more to talk about it. But
maybe if he was like saying retarded shit like in Lighthouse, I would have had more to say. But as far as Nosferatu is concerned, yeah, it's a movie.
Yeah, but going back to our big problem, stuck culture. That's why I like. How do you feel about the phrase stuck culture?
I like stuck culture because I'm stuck in the past, and I don't mind it when Hollywood or video games or music bring shit from the past, but you should bring it in a way that respects the past, that respects the art form that came from before.
That's what I feel about video games. I feel like the problem with video games now is that they're losing like that formula that it was based off of, which was like the arcades. Like I know, like even if you didn't grow up playing arcades, if you go play like some of these like arcade games that existed before, like let's say like here's the thing, like when like the original Nintendo came out, the power that the Nintendo had was nothing compared to like what arcade systems could do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go and play those arcade games, you, even though like a lot of people, they kind of write them off because they're like, oh, like the whole point of those games is that you have to keep on putting quarters in to win and all this stuff. But you can, every single arcade game, if you really get good at it, you can do a one coin clear. If you get really good at it, and because it actually has actual design,
and it stimulated your brain.
Yeah.
I forgot. Fuck, I can't remember what the exact term was, but they were saying something along the lines of like Tetris, a game that's been around since what, the 70s?
Yeah.
Stimulates the brain more than fucking Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know if it's going off topic, but I feel like that's the problem with zombies in Call of Duty, is that when zombies first came out, all you did was hop in the game, kill some fucking zombies, get your points up, and kill shit. Now it's like, oh, you gotta set up your gobble gum, you gotta set up your loadouts, you gotta set up all this shit. And it's like, no, zombies was just meant to be a mode that you just hopped in, killed got points, killed zombies, that was it. Everything that they're doing today is just a bastardization of what came before. And they think they're improving it, but they're not. They're not. They're making it fucking worse.
And I think it's because they're like subconsciously. It might even be because the people who make games now, they don't even like know, or like they don't even like care about like the arcades. Because arcades, another thing about arcades is like it's about scoring points.
Yeah.
It was always like Pac-Man. You go to Pac-Man, it's about the high score. What games are about like high scores nowadays? Like
not even Call of Duty.
Yeah. It's
Call of Duty does not care about your points or anything anymore.
What is it about, ranking or something like that?
Not even that.
All right.
They just want to buy this fucking.
They just want to keep you on the game longer.
Buy the battle pass.
Yeah.
That's it. Literally, that's it.
And I think the problem is that we're leaning away from that arcade design that all these games had, and now we're just like, either games are like games that you're supposed to be like the everything game. Like I think this is what like Fortnite. Every time I see Fortnite, I just think like, oh, this is that game that has everything in it. I think that's probably what that like what's it called, Grand Theft Auto. It kind of seemed like that's gonna be the game that just has like every single like thing you can do. It's gonna be that game, and the choice you got to make is like, oh, which game am I gonna play now? Like, and there's no more games that are like just like it's a game, 6 hours, you got to master it. It is kind of hard, blah blah, and then you move on. There's not really games like that anymore. There's not games that are like trying to simulate. I'm talking about like AAA games. Because the thing is, there are indie games, everything. Even when we're talking about movies or everything, there are indie
films, indie music, indie games that bring back that
try to scratch that itch, but they're so either it's like on a need to know basis.
It's very niche. It's very niche.
Yeah,
you won't know about
they
it.
don't have the advertising on purpose. Some of them, like with some like the underground like rap I used to listen to like a few years back. Like, they kind of purposely didn't talk about it. Like, the people who make it, they purposely didn't talk about it. They would, like, sell their albums for, like, I don't know, like, hundreds of dollars. Purposely not have it on streaming. Purposely, like, they'll have, like, music videos, but then they'll take it down, like, after a while. But all these people, they like, allegedly, they're good at their craft. They try to keep it, like, taken away from the masses.
But they keep the spirit. They keep the spirit of the craft. And I feel like the problem with mainstream media today, whether it's a video game, music, or a movie, they don't keep the spirit. They just have the essence.
They just have like the feeling of, oh, it's this property.
It's Star Wars, so it must be good.
That's what I feel about. It's kind of off topic because you did talk about Dragon Ball a little bit. I feel like what most people are doing, people who realize that, like, at least they might like say, oh, Western media is bad, Western media is cooked, and then they think the solution is to like start watching anime and reading manga.
Even anime and manga takes a lot from Western media. Yeah,
the problem is now, like, okay, there are, if you look for it, you're gonna see a lot of good. Like, if you never watch any anime, then you watch it right now, you're gonna be inundated with a lot of good stuff.
Berserk, Vinland Saga, that was what it was for me.
But even the problem is that all those things are all old anyways. Like, let's say you're into like One Piece, you get into One Piece, that's the 90s, that's like 99, I think. That's when One Piece came out.
Berserk came out in the fucking 90s.
I think Berserk is like 89.
Oh my god, it came out in the fucking 80s.
Yeah, 89, like late 80s.
And a lot of that shit was based off of stuff that came before.
Yeah. And But what I'm trying to get to is that a lot of people think that the answer is you just go to the east. You leave the west behind, you go to the east. But once you, especially we're talking about like modern series. He asked me earlier. He's like, what's like the best series you've seen recently? And again, I'm just like, I haven't really watched a lot of new series.
I think the best is Invincible. But Invincible
is a 2000s.
It's a 2000s thing, and it builds off of everything that came before. And then to make things even more, I don't know, what would you call it? More anticlimactic. All of the voice actors in the Invincible series were from older series. The Grand fucking Wizard of the fucking what were they called? Not the Saiyans. Whatever Omni-Man's people were. The voice actor is Optimus Prime. Omni-Man is voiced by J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Some of the other actors are voiced from oh my god, what was the name of that one guy from Avatar? Fuck. The guy that tried subverting the Earth Kingdom. I forgot what his name was. Lao Chen. Whatever the fuck his name was. All these voice actors, Azula from fucking Avatar came back to voice one of the fucking villains. The Viltrumites. She came to voice one of the Viltrumites. All the voice actors, Invincible himself was the guy from Walking Dead. Everything came from the past and they're bringing it back today. I think Invincible executes it a lot better, but it still is older. It's an older
property, IP,
property, yeah,
intellectual property. At the end of the day, but what I was getting to, I was like, even if you. And we're back. Sorry, we had a little technical difficulty. Anyways, what we're talking about the idea of stuck culture, and these things that are old coming back, and the idea that some people, they think, oh, maybe the problem is Western media in general, because your whole entire life been inundated with a Western media. So the answer is, go somewhere else. Go to anime. Go to, I don't know, Indonesian films, whatever, Bollywood. I want to go to Bollywood. Maybe I'll go to Bollywood, but I want to go to...
Maybe just RRR, and that's it.
Yeah, maybe just like...
That's because Critical Drinker said it was good, so that must mean that it's good.
Oh, I heard other people saying it was good, so it was just like...
I was being stupid.
It was being implied. But, the problem with I was thinking about anime, and I was just like, even then, older anime, better. Hands down, it's like, there's no such thing as like even like as a medium, maybe if you're new to it and you see all these like characteristics of anime and everything, you start going, oh, this is so cool. But then like if you watched enough like good ones, you kind of like still have that mentality that it sucks. The one thing I will say though, the one series that is better, that like did Star Wars, like what Star Wars could have done but better, is the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise. At least the execution, because what they did, basically, to make it make sense for you, because you only know Star Wars, what they did basically is, so the original series came out like 1979, and then they had like a couple seasons afterwards, and like two other series afterwards. They're kind of in the same sort of timeline, and then they had a movie that was basically the end. And then like in the 90s, they got bought out by this other company, or kind of like partially bought out, and they started making these series that didn't have the main director involved. But then later on, in like 99, they basically, the equivalent of what they did is that this is basically the equivalent of them bringing back George Lucas to do his own thing. And so what they ended up doing is they kept on making Gundam, but like basically the new series they would make would be like considered like fanfic, which is basically like what all of Disney Star Wars is right now. But then they would still like have the original creator like create his own thing in his own timeline. And he and obviously in his own works, he would like acknowledge the rest of like all his other works, and a few of the works that he actually had no involvement in, but then he would basically do his own thing. He would go further and the series he wanted to do, and I just thought it was better. But in general, again, yeah, even anime's washed up. Anime's kind of stuck.
I think
they're kind of stuck in a different thing though, because they don't want to acknowledge, or they don't want to. If they do bring back, like sci, because that's like the best genre anime did was ever like sci-fi, mecha, space operas. Those are the best shows that the genre had to offer at the time, and they kind of shifted away. And they just do easy shows, like they do like slice of life shows, and they just really. I think the problem with anime that I have, too many like adaptations, too many adaptations of comics, too many adaptations of games, not enough original series. But then again, when they do an original series, it's usually good, because then whatever studio wants to make the original series, they have the confidence, and that they weren't just like animating some like some stupid comic that they were forced to do because they think that's the only thing's gonna make them successful, which is true, because a bunch of people, they like seeing, particularly the shonen like battle genre, which is basically just regurgitating Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Bleach, Fist of the North Star, just regurgitating that over and over again. That's like the like a moneymaker, like no matter which generation.
I think the problem is that media is just, they don't know what to do now. They don't know what to do anymore, so they just want to force feed us whatever garbage they come out with. Basically.
Well, I think the problem is, in general, I think it's the internet. The internet makes things go way too fast, and they make people concerned about other people way too much. And for artists, it makes them concerned about how they want to be perceived and all that stuff.
They're too busy thinking about the greater picture instead of just focusing on making a good fucking story.
Yeah, they're too preoccupied with like, how does this like help the world? How does this? They're focused on everything other than like trying to get their money up with their art, and then obviously the other problem is that like they're not like being secluded off of the world. They're not thinking about their own ideas by themselves. They're having their ideas kind of formed. Back in the day, most artists, they had their ideas formed by other artists, and now they're having their ideas formed by TikTok
and by
YouTube,
the corporate media.
YouTube. They've always had their opinions by corporate media. Let's be quiet. They've always had their opinions. Because back in the day, at least now, all the media, you can watch, like, I don't know if Alex Jones is considered, like, esoteric media at this point in time, but right now there's so much media you can do. Back in the day, boomers only had Channel 1, Channel 2. Literally. And that's, like, the only, and then, like...
So maybe the bigger issue is that we have too much... It's the paradox of choice.
It's abundance.
The paradox of choice. You have so much shit that you don't even know where to start from.
Yeah. And
that's probably what a lot of these new people are having the issue with.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! There's all this great shit that came out before. We don't know what to do now.
Well, I think most people just avoid it. They might know it exists, but they don't avoid it. That's what I realized with. Do you know the show Cobra Kai? Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
So every time I see a clip of this show, because I have a bunch of people I know who watch it, I just get the feeling that it's like made for people who want to watch like Disney Channel their whole entire life. Like, people our age who like always watch Disney Channel, and like they feel like they don't want to watch anything like too, like, cause I guess most modern TVs too, like, either it's like too violent and sexual, or and like a bunch of other like, you know, no stuff going on. So they're just like, no, or it's too like psyop nonsense. Like, have you ever, like, you know, like those
like
CBS...
having a gay fucking superhero or a black superhero?
No, not even that. It's like have you ever seen like those detective like CBS shows? Like, they're always on, like, I'm talking about, you're lying, bro. Like, you know, like
I seen the one with Ice-T.
like CIS.
Yeah, I seen a little bit of that. Yeah.
You know, genre I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's like the worst. Like, you know, boomers just like watch that. like that's like their main like sort of like entertainment, like drama entertainment. And I saw like a clip of it, and just like the way those TV shows like try to perceive the world is like so cooked, because they try to base off of real things, but then at the same time those what they try to I saw this show, and they try to like put the Proud Boys in it, and I was just like, bro, this is so cooked. Like their depiction of what they think the Proud Boys is like so cooked compared to like real life.
What it actually is.
Yeah, or like real life. But anyway, going back to like what I was saying, I just think people are so inundated. Like the people who could be artists, they're so inundated with like ways for them not to make art. And then the people who are the artists, are like the tastemakers of and select like, oh, should be the artist. They're so like
they're so cooked.
They're so well, that's
for lack of better words.
Yeah, for lack of better words. I'm trying to think of a better word to describe it. Because believe it or not, I think you can be a good artist and you can be like whatever, left wing or whatever, all that stuff. But it's just the way that you evoke it, however you evoke your message. And now the only way you can really evoke your message is if you have like either what you gotta do, you gotta go one side. I'm gonna be one of those guys that say that both sides, the bad part. Either you gotta like make a Rippaverse comic and work for Eric July, or you gotta just like have like I don't know, like a web comic or whatever, and that just has like gay characters and all that, and then like you have to have like every sort of like type of character, and then you gotta like auction off to Netflix and all that. So that's the main problem too with comics. What I realized, like people think that the answer to comics is like, oh, you don't like the big two comics, you don't like Marvel and DC anymore, you don't like them? Oh, read indie comics, like Image comics and all that stuff. And then you read like an Image comic, and it's
ass.
Well, what I was gonna get to is that they make the comic because they want to make it to a Netflix show, and so you feel like when you're reading the comic. I guess it's the same thing with a manga, because I guess every manga is trying to become an anime eventually. So, which it wasn't the case in the 80s too. There were a bunch of anime that they knew they weren't going to become manga, so they didn't even attempt to. But they knew that if you want to become a manga, you have to be like pandering on this sort of level. You have to be kind of kid friendly and all that stuff. But there's a bunch of manga that never got adapted, and I want to say it was like a Medal of Honor. But that's right now. There's a bunch of manga now that are getting like adapted. But going back to my comic analogy, what they do is that they have like this storyline, how they plan out these series. It's like they want it to be
a Netflix
show, a streaming show. They're basically like you know how if you do art, you can basically like project anything, right?
Yeah.
But then you read these comics and you're just like, these guys are just doing like everyday. This is kind of supernatural, but they're just doing like everyday things. I'm like, yeah, this basically reads like a script, like a show. It doesn't feel like it's like a. And again, it's freaking what's his name, Robert Kirkman's fault.
Yeah.
Because he put either Robert Kirkman or Mark Miller. But he's more for like the movies. He kind of put everyone on the map to making comics and turning it into movies and stuff. But like, what's his name, Kirkman? He's kind of like the opposite. But he's like for TV, and but yeah, that's like probably the other reason why all these things are so. They're just that's the problem, is that they're so sanitized for the masses. I think. 'Cause I think even back in the day with comics, like
it was for like people. It was for outsiders.
It was for whoever, and they wouldn't try to pander to an audience that wasn't them, because then you would see these people like if you're like a renowned artist, you would see the people that you're selling books to if you went to like a convention, and now you don't even see that because I don't know, no one reads them, no one reads them. But I've been focusing a little like too much on comics, but I think the comics, manga, that type of scene is like a bigger part of all of media, is that they're sanitized, and at the same time all the artists, they have like that's another problem too, is that the artists literally have to be like personalities now. Like back in the day, if you were an artist, the only personality you would have is like
it's your character that you fucking thought about.
Yeah. Like when you were on like an interview on like I don't know, like David Letterman, that's the only time where you have to care about your character. But nowadays, unless like you try to like craft, even then, if you try to craft this image that has all this aura, and you're like, oh, I don't talk, I don't do interviews right now, blah blah. Like you still like there's cameras all around you and everything. Like I would say, I know it's gonna be like kind of out of pocket, but like the best like character like that an artist has is, or like the best character in pop culture right now is Playboi Carti. But then at the same time, like he focuses way too much on his character that he doesn't make music. Or he doesn't even try to like make music. Like he hasn't came out with any sort of like he'll come up with like snippets, but that's really it basically.
You could say the same thing about Kanye.
Oh, he makes music, but it's just
he's still a character.
I would say his character is like becoming infused with him basically. Like he doesn't think about his character at all. I would say
he is the character.
Yeah, but I would say before all these people, the most they would have to like create their character. It would have to be when they were writing. And back then, interviews used to be written too. It wasn't like, oh, you're on TV all the time. But like that's the only time you really have to care about your presence. And now since there's photos everywhere, you have to look a certain way. There's social media. Social media is basically like the diary now for like the modern times.
Twitter is your diary.
For like what's
Marcus Aurelius is on Twitter right now as we speak.
For what's going on, and there's too much personality. That's what I kind of notice with comics. Like even if you get out of like the indies, or like you get out of like the mainstream comics, is that you still the way how you set yourself up for success is by being a personality. And I think it's kind of like, it's one of the more black-filling things about being an artist right now is that the only reason people buy other people's art is because they agree with them on politics. Like, I don't know, I just think it probably has always been like that. Like, well,
I think more people back in the day were ignorant to politics. So they were just there for the art.
Yeah.
It's like the original trilogy was basically going against the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
But most people didn't know that. Man, I didn't fucking know that as a kid. Even most boomers didn't even know that.
And now, it even seems like as consumers, cause I don't know, I kind of consider, if I'm an artist, I create like low level like art meant for like not even just the masses, just for like the worst type of people imaginable. But as a consumer, I feel like enjoying things now, it has to feel like a presidential endorsement.
Basically.